Are you an advanced level astrologer? Are you just learning astrology? Are you just beginning to study it? Have you been practicing astrology for many years? Have you read many books? Have you been thinking about astrology for a really long time? Astrology is the delineation of human behavior from symbolism built around the solar system, and a snapshot of that solar system as at a time when an individual is born. Now, what I do is I translate the description of that natal chart into a complex system, because that's what it really is. A complex system. The solar system is a complex system. So if you are studying astrology and you don't know how complex systems behave, then how do you delineate what human behavior really is? Because human behavior emerges. It is put together in a complex way, meaning it has a particular behavior that is intrinsically difficult to model due to dependencies, competitions, relationships, and other types of interactions between their parts or between a given system and its environment. I've just read that off Wikipedia for a basic definition of what a complex system is. A complex system is a perspective, and it allows you to understand the behavior, the interactive behavior of many objects or things interacting in different ways according to different rules. Now, eventually, behavior emerges at a much higher level, and it is this behavior which we study as human behavior, as personality, or things like that. Now, if you're an astrologer and you don't understand complex systems, then how do you model the behaviors that you're delineating? And that's why I set up my training program. My training program re-examines all astrological tenets and reinterprets it as complex systems, because that's what it really is. So we're not going to be reading off individual interpretations of placements. Maybe, for instance, you say your moon is in Capricorn or your sun is in Capricorn and that makes you a Capricornian. Far from it. That is cookbook astrology. It has no utility whatsoever. Now, the reason why astrology is studied in parts like that is to aid understanding. When you're learning astrology, you look at the individual pieces and you try to read off what individual pieces mean. But there's nothing that is found in isolation in a natal chart. Everything is within the context of everything else. That's what makes it a complex system. There's no getting around that. So if you want to practice true astrology, if you really want to understand what astrology says, then you have to delineate it as a complex system. The solar system is a complex system. Why? Because the behavior, the orbital and trajectory behavior of the Earth is determined by the orbital and trajectory behavior of everything else in the solar system. If you suddenly take the moon away, for instance, the entire solar system will retransform itself. It will rearrange itself to accommodate the fact that some aspect of it has now been taken away. Because the order which we witness as the solar system today is a negotiated order that is born out of the complex interactivity of everything in the solar system. So the solar system is in dynamic equilibrium. That's really what it is. There's a state of permanent tension between everything. That's the negotiated order. And the natal chart is just like that. Everything is in tension with everything else. So you cannot look at the moon and say, oh, because my moon is in Capricorn, that means I am this. That's nonsense. That is absolute twaddle speak. It's so incorrect. It does more harm than good. Because the brain is, our behavior is plastic in a sense. We can twist and turn it to try to match anything that we so desire. So you can read off something from a book and immediately think to yourself, I'm like that. No, you're not. No, you're not. And the whole point is, that's why a lot of people get readings and they're not empowered. They don't feel the effect of the reading they have just had. They may feel it for a short while, but after a while, life takes over. And then you need another reading. And then after that, you need another reading. Well, what's going on is pretty evident. You don't have the truth. And you cannot get the truth if you do not perceive the natal chart as a complex system. Now, what I do is I train astrologers, especially advanced level astrologers, to reinterpret the natal chart as a complex system. And there's a whole lot of utility in that. You get the oohs and the ahs. Oh, yeah. Of course. Because you're now perceiving things that you didn't think about before, which is only normal. You see, when two systems interact complexly, their behavior is totally transformed. You cannot reduce their overall emergent behavior down to the sum of their parts or down to their individual parts. You cannot do that. So the behavior which you have on the human level, you cannot really reduce it to individual placements. No, because the behavior emerges as a sum total of everything else in the natal chart interacting with everything else. And that's the beauty of it, because emergence leads to the possibility of novelty. And if there's one thing that human beings are, it is that no two human beings are exactly alike in terms of behavior. You can have two people looking exactly alike in terms of features or phenotypical features. You can even have so much similarity down to the genetic level, but the behavior is very different. Why? Because complex systems, or systems on the edge of chaos, they are sensitive to their initial conditions, meaning their starting conditions, meaning that if there is an infinitesimal variation between the starting conditions, then over the long term, the behaviors that emerge can be very divergent from each other. That's why the weather is inherently chaotic. So you have predictions of the weather over a 2-week period, but beyond that, it's nonsensical, because the systems are so, they tend towards that chaos. Complexity theory really is an understanding of chaos theory, whereby simple patterns emerge that cannot be reduced to the sum of the interacting parts. And so you can read off the simple patterns. For instance, human self-awareness itself is emergent because it emerges from the behavior of trillions of cells working together in a community. And most of what the trillions of cells are doing, self-awareness is not really aware of it. You're not currently telling your kidneys directly how to work, but somehow you are. And that is the whole point. Self-awareness is just a tiny glimpse, a tiny window into a much larger organismic behavior that a human being really is. But whatever a human being really is, all of it must be encapsulated in the natal chart, because one of the things you learn in my first class is, why does astrology work? And when you understand the dynamics of why astrology works and how it emerges eventually, then you understand why human consciousness or human self-awareness is structured the way that it is. It has to be. Now, but there is scope for the expansion of that awareness, and that's why the course is my program is essential for anyone who's deeply interested in astrology. After my program, you won't see astrology as a pseudoscience like it is described in the mainstream science. You will realize that there's something else in there. There's a physics in there that you can begin to connect to modern day physics. That's really what it is. I mean, this would make the neuroscientists pull their hair out, but the world is adapting very fast. So if you have a keen interest in astrology, if you would like to really understand what your natal chart is talking about, if you are tired of pop astrology, because the truth is, if you have the secret, if you have the understanding of your behavior, where it comes from and how it delineates properly, then you don't need anything else, because that is a map. And as long as you can read the map, you know where you're going. Now think about that. Sometimes when we have to choose, there is confusion. Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go with this person or that person? Do I go to this country or that country? Well, the reason why these kind of choices seem to exist is because you're not sure what you should do. And that's because you don't know why you are here. What is the overriding motive? What is the essential reason why you are here? If you don't know that, then how do you know what you're supposed to do? Okay, you start off at first trying to do what everyone else is doing. But if that doesn't work for you, then it means that your programming is really unique. So you need to look for that uniqueness. You need to find out why your programming seems to diverge from the programming of everybody else. And then you start asking the right questions. Now, if your programming is so different, I consider that a strength. It is unique. It means that nature wants something from you, something it can't really get from everyone else. So it has to treat you differently. Now, when your natal chart comes around and you look at it, then you begin to understand why your life is different. Because it so happens that people who are basically the average, they go with the flow, they have the same type of problems everybody else has. So there's nothing really important about it. It is important, but there's nothing that stands out. They are successful in trying to be like everybody else. So they just blend in and, but those people don't really look for astrologers. They don't really ask deep questions regarding their life and all that. They adopt the normal belief system that everybody has, one of the major religions, and they just go with it. And it works for them, and they can live their life that way. But if it doesn't work for you, and you've tried several other things, it's not working for you, then that tells you that your programming is very different. You need deeper answers. Life wouldn't let you be like everyone else. You need to ask deeper questions, the right type of questions, and you need to seek these answers, because in seeking the answers, therein lies your journey. Therein lies the unfolding of your own programming. And don't get me twisted, this is a program. Reality is a program. The solar system is the programming. And there are 500 billion, 3 to 500 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Each one is a program. There are 85 billion neurons working to make you perceive reality. That's a programming. And that's why you cannot understand the emergence of behavioral programming without complexity theory, complex systems understanding. You simply can't. How would you think about it? It's like trying to understand the internet without complexity theory. It'll be a fail. Okay? So complex systems understanding is a perspective on how to deal with very networked type of environments. Like, the number of neurons in your head are all networked together. The internet, for instance, the global financial system is all networked together. You cannot really understand these things without complexity theory. Ecosystems, for instance, even the behavior of living cells, you need to employ this. Now, as an astrologer, if you are not employing this, then you are not at the cutting edge of astrological thinking. I mean, astrology itself is already on the far end of what is considered, normal thinking. But you need to go further, because astrology cannot really find credibility when it cannot make testable, falsifiable predictions. Now, you cannot even begin to get to that level if astrology does not imbibe complex systems understanding. So send me a message, give me a call, send me an email. The details are in the description of the video. Come join us. Come learn with us. For beginner levels, it takes a little longer, about 6 sessions. Each session about 2 to 3 hours long. Scheduled at convenience. But for advanced level astrologers who the program was really designed for, 4 sessions, intense sessions, where we go straight to the heart of the matter and we investigate why astrology works. And from there, we reinterpret what you call planets, because they're not really they're not supposed to be called planets in astrology. It doesn't mean anything. And you can't say, planetary energies. What does that even mean? What is a planetary energy? Does it give off heat? What type of energy? Is it radiation? No. These are misnomers. They are misnomers because we're not addressing the right thing. We need the right language to understand what it is that we're really talking about. Okay? Then we reinterpret the signs. Oh boy, do we reinterpret the signs. We change. After the program, you will never see astrology the same way again. Even better, you will never see a human being the same way again. You would never see choice the same way again. And that's the whole point. Okay? You can see what life is really doing with the kind of choices and the kind of reality systems that emerge. And that's the whole point. So come join us. All the description, all the details are in the video description. Send me a message. Come try for yourself. Come see. I guarantee you will enjoy it. And if you want to try it out without any commitment, any financial commitment, that's fine. Just send me a message. But I guarantee you that after the program or during the program, you will want to commit. It's inevitable because you won't get this anywhere else.